Scripture is going to speak for itself because it does such a better job than I can. So, if you don't have your own Bible, there are also Bibles at the end of the row, because I'm not going to be doing all of the looking up. We're going to be sharing the looking up, and we're going to be sharing some of the reading. And in many of these, it will be a group of passages that we will read, and then we'll talk about it. So be sure you have a Bible, and not everyone's going to look up everything. I'll assign them out so that we're not wasting a lot of time looking things up, but you will be looking things up in Scripture as well. And I'm sure after I will take every space I'm given, so I'm sure that Professor Deutschland's presentation left many of you thinking, whoa, I have attended things that he's presented before. Very thankful that this is written out. I had a copy of this ahead of time, having already gone through it, having already studied it. I still, as he's presenting, go, whoa. He is an exceptionally gifted presenter and can pack so many truths into one sentence. It takes time. You need to go back over it. How many of you have purchased the book? Okay, this is not like reading. He was at one of the other retreats that he was at. The women were talking about how hard it was to get through the first 2 chapters. Really difficult to get those through. And someone shared that with him, that they were just really hard. He said, you think they're hard to read. It took me 2 years to write them. It's the kind of thing that for those of us who have been Christians our whole lives, we kind of think we've got it. Then he starts presenting, and you're going, whoa, that's right. Whoa, I have missed it. Whoa, for me, at the first time I heard him, this was probably a year or so ago that I actually heard him present. It changed the way I thought about my life as a Christian. I have been a Christian since I was a week old. It changed the way I thought about my life as a Christian and my time here on earth. And it really ties into the presentation that you chose about being content and about being discontented with our lives here on earth and God's plan for our lives here on earth. So, with that as introduction, I would like to begin with prayer, which is actually a reading from Psalm 19. And Psalm 19 it's talking about the glory of God and how God reveals himself. Because as you just heard, the essence of my life as a Christian is all about Christ. And everywhere I look, I want to know more about God. Everything that I experience is more about God. And the glory of God, when you get into definitions, the glory of God is really God revealing himself. Because the truth is, our God is not a God that we can see. The advantage that idols have over our God, it was why the children of Israel got into trouble right at the foot of Mount Sinai, is because they wanted a God they could see and they could hold. And our God says, you're so stupid. If you can hold it, how do you think it can help you? If you're carrying it around, what power do you think that it really has? We don't have a God that we can see and hold, except when Christ came, he made God visible to us. And now through us, Christians, we make God visible to those around us. This is a pretty heavy responsibility. It's also the definition of glorifying God. Glorifying God means to make him visible, to put him in a form that others can see and touch. Right now it's through us. Psalm 119. And essentially, God reveals himself to us in two ways. He reveals himself to us in his creation and what we see. He also reveals himself to us in his word. And if you listen carefully as I read this, at least 5 or 6 different references to the way God's will is made known through his word. And the Psalms goes back to that again and again. So let's begin with Psalm 19. The glory of God is revealed. First of all, it's revealed by creation. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they display knowledge. There is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. Their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. And then the glory is also revealed in his word. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. A note, when law is used in the Old Testament, many times it's not just the 10 Commandments. In the original, the word that's being translated is often the Torah, which means everything that God has said about himself. So the law of God is, the law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are sure and altogether righteous. They are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They are sweeter than honey from the comb. By them is your servant warned. In keeping them there is great reward. Who can discern his errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Then will I be blameless, innocent of great transgression. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. As we go through this, it will become more and more clear what that psalm is so connected to the topic of this morning. First of all, this is about the cross of contentment. Many times we can understand what something is by looking at the opposite. So we're going to be spending some time looking at what is contentment and what is being discontented. And in both of them, we're going to let Scripture explain the words. And Scripture is going to define the words. What is discontent? How do we recognize it? And then also what is contentment? And how do we recognize that? Then we're going to take a look at how I deny myself. How do I give up the discontent in life? One of the things we'll see very clearly is the source of my discontent is often that I am not getting what I think I should be getting at the time and in the way that I think I should be getting it. Notice how many times the word I came up. That's at the bottom of our disconnect. So how do I deny myself, which is what carrying the cross of Christ is all about, and give up that disconnect? And then what's the secret of carrying the cross of contentment? And that's the exact phrase that comes from Paul's letter to the Philippians, is the secret of contentment. And we're going to get to that. And then finally, how for Christ's sake and by his power, we can be content in all circumstances. That's another quote. So before we go to that, I'm sure that there isn't anyone here that took this because they said, I am so contented with my life, I just don't know what to do with myself. I'm guessing that most of us are here because either we or someone we know is very discontented with life. And we want to know how to help them, or we want to know how to help ourselves. So let's begin. Just take a few minutes, think about it. Jot down a few things about what makes you, someone you know, someone you care about, discontented. Just that, what makes people unhappy with life? What makes them say, I'm just restless? That would be one. Just write a couple things down. I'll give everybody a chance to think about this a little bit. And then we'll jot some of those things